Hi there, thanks for watching my views on news. Three news stories from Ethiopia and Eritrea. Eritrean government just 30 minutes ago issued a very important statement about Tigray, a conflict, about the war in northern Ethiopia. The statement is a summary of Eritrean perspective on Tigray war in Tigray. So what is Eritrean government saying? Allegations against TPLF leadership too in this statement. We'll have a look at the statement. Secondly, an activist who has been sharing posts about Ethiopia for years with good following has been arrested in Saudi Arabia. Who is he? Reported he's being deported to Ethiopia. Thirdly, Oromia, a region of Ethiopia where a church was attacked by armed men. Two monks have been killed in this attack and some abducted. Firstly, viewers, Eritrean government issued an interesting statement 30 minutes ago. The statement is Eritrean government's position about the war in northern Ethiopia. Eritrean government leveled accusations against TPLF leaders in this statement. The Eritrean government says that 5 years ago, in October, Ethiopia-Eritrea border opened. Commercial activities resumed. Roads were being built to ports. Here Eritrea is telling what happened when Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia signed an agreement. Abiy Isas held meetings and the two countries restored diplomatic ties, borders opened, and Ethiopia started building a road to connect with Eritrean ports. Now, next point, the statement of the Eritrean Ministry of Information claims that this agreement did not go well with the West. And former EU Special Envoy to the Horn of Africa was heard saying that if Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia were not stopped, they would take control of entire eastern coast of the Red Sea. So that is why an international conspiracy was launched. TPLF was told to be prepared to make preparations for war. This is statement of the Eritrean government, which I am sharing with you, almost quote unquote. And then allegation by Eritrean government that when Humera border was opened on Ethiopia-Eritrea border, Isaias Afwerki, Eritrean president, met with Tigray leadership there. And there, Eritrean president said to Tigray leaders, why are you preparing for war? You shouldn't be a proxy of the West. So don't prepare for war. Let's work for peace. This is now Eritrean government's official position that Tigray leaders were warned in advance, that Tigray leaders were preparing for war. And then war started, though some Ethiopian groups, celebrities, religious individuals, they visited Tigray. They tried to stop Tigray from going for war. But the statement here mocks Tigray leaders, that Tigray leaders were heard saying, war is our profession, we know how to fight wars. That was the response received by Ethiopian intellectuals, religious leaders who visited Tigray before the start of war. War began, but in June 2021, Ethiopian military withdrew from Tigray. Eritrean government says that this withdrawal was seen as weakness, and Tigray started arming, training youths who entered Amhara neighboring regions, and they managed to reach North Shore. Back then it was said that there was no one to talk to in Ethiopia. It was said by TPLF leaders. But Tigray forces suffered losses, they retreated, but Ethiopian military decided against entering Tigray. Tigray leaders kept on improving their capabilities. Allegedly, they stole food aid, they stole weapons, and they prepared for third round of fighting, which started, but the Tigray forces suffered heavy losses, and they signed a deal of disarmament. This is almost quote unquote which I share with you. So, Eritrean government says that lessons should be learned. Lessons from the suffering through which the people went, and the lessons from heavy losses which according to Eritrean government have been suffered by those who started the war. And the lesson should be learned, and the lesson should be basis for peace and prosperity in this region. So, Eritrean government today accused Tigray without pulling any punches that Tigray started war. Tigray leaders, they served as a tool for Western hegemonic adventures, and that led to suffering for the people of Tigray. Tigray forces suffered heavy losses, and our way forward is that Tigray leadership should learn lessons from their losses. Now, what Eritrean government said, let's analyze what the government said today. What the government said today is largely true. Yes, Tigray started second round of fighting in June 2021, Tigray leaders. But back then, western zone, southern zone, northern areas, all were under the control of Eritrean Amhara forces, Ethiopian National Defense Force. Yes, Tigray was forced to leave. Tigray forces were forced to retreat from North Shore. And yes, we cannot deny that the military decided against entering Tigray. Why? Because military did not want to be trapped like it was in the first round of fighting. Can we say that TPLF leaders served as a proxy for Western interests? Well, it's difficult to say. I think Western powers intervene with their internal conflicts. Problem between Tigray and Eritrea was not fueled by just West and US alone. The two fought together, but then the two went different ways. They could never form partnership, regional strategic partnership, starting from 3 decades ago. So, instead of blaming Western powers, EU, US, I think Tigray leadership, Eritrean president, Ethiopian government, they'll have to learn how to resolve their conflicts through dialogue. You cannot just say that the war was actually an agenda of the West and Eritrea was forced to be part of the war. No, Eritrea wanted to crush TPLF. It could not. Yes, it has weakened TPLF, but Eritrea should now extend olive branch to Tigray. Such statements won't serve as a way of start of talks with Tigray. Eritrean government is mocking Tigray leadership. It is ridiculing the Tigray forces. That is not the way forward. I think just like Tigray should learn lessons, Eritrea should learn lessons as well. Eritrea is in a stronger position. It should invite TPLF leaders to talks. It should invite Ethiopian government to talks. It should not try to prove that Eritrea won this war, Tigray suffered losses. That is not the way forward, I think. Let's see how Tigray responds to this statement. Secondly, viewers, an activist with good following in social media has been arrested in Saudi Arabia. He shares posts on Ethiopia. Is he from Ethiopia? I'm not sure. Suleman Abdullah. During Tigray conflict, he was a staunch supporter of Ethiopian government. He criticized Tigray forces, Tigray leaders a lot. But when military launched an operation against Fano in the Amhara region, he changed sides and he became very critical of Ethiopian government. And now he is serving as a key supporter of Amhara region-based groups like Fano fighters. He is very critical of Ethiopian federal government. He has been arrested in Saudi Arabia reportedly. Some say he is being deported to Addis Ababa, Ethiopian capital. People in Amhara groups, in Amhara, Fano loyalists, they are condemning Suleman Abdullah's arrest in Saudi Arabia. Will he be deported? Let's see. But if he has been arrested in Saudi Arabia, and he's being deported, it means that Ethiopian government has access to Saudi Arabia in terms of action on Ethiopian government's critics there. By the way, a few days ago, an organization published a report about Ethiopian migrants who are being shot dead on Yemen, Saudi Arabia border by Saudi border guards. And the organization said that hundreds have been killed since last year. Nothing happened. Ethiopian government rather said it had cordial relations with Saudi Arabia. It would start joint investigation. Nothing happened. Rather, Suleman Abdullah arrested in Saudi Arabia. Obviously, Ethiopian government wanted him to be arrested because he was criticizing the government with good following. His message was being spread. And government wanted to silence him, it seems. Thirdly, viewers, Oromia region of Ethiopia, where ethnic violence, religious violence is turning deadlier. We reported about Ebedengoro in Valaga, where clash between Amhara armed locals and Oromia forces happened, casualties on both sides, graphic pictures are coming in. Now, another incident in eastern Oromia. It happened in Adama city, where two ministers of Orthodox Church have been killed in an attack by unknown armed men. Arthos Saint Arsima Church was attacked by unknown armed men in Adama city. Two ministers were killed. Tekliab and Cassis are the names of the two killed Orthodox Church ministers. They were killed and some others were abducted by attackers. Fingers being pointed towards the fighters of Oromo Liberation Army. All are silent, no statement. Why were they killed? Were they suspected of working against groups in Oromia? No, but religious leaders are killed. It shows the gravity of the situation. It shows the nature of a conflict in Oromia, that even religious people are not being tolerated. And the fire which has been made in Amhara is gradually spreading into Oromia. People disagree with my analysis. They say, Sajid, nothing is happening in Oromia. Big regional state, Oromia, and you try to expand the conflict through your reporting from Amhara into Oromia, you'll see sooner or later, yeah. Because there is large Amhara population in Oromia. There is large Orthodox population in Oromia. The impact of unrest in Amhara is bound to be felt in Oromia. You will see that. The two regions are connected. Perhaps more connected than other regions in terms of ethnic tension, in terms of religious tension, in terms of tension over dominance in Ethiopia. And problem is that whenever people are killed in Oromia and they're from Amhara, there is no condemnation from parties who matter in Oromia. Rather, Oromo parties, Oromo groups, they back Oromo narrative. And groups in Amhara, they say as if all Amharas in Oromia are in danger. So, very dangerous things are happening between Oromos and Amharas in Oromia and on Oromia-Amhara border. Let's see, will someone investigate the deaths of these two Orthodox ministers? Why were they killed? What was their crime? Who was the attacker? Who were the attackers? But government is unable to secure the release of workers of a power plant in eastern Oromia. How can government arrest those who killed these people? Oromia regional security structure, security apparatus, it's not very effective and it's not in good shape. There is complete collapse of regional structure in Amhara. In Oromia, we're seeing that armed groups are getting stronger. Ola, Amhara's armed too now. And if all these armed groups get stronger, obviously it will mean that regional security apparatus is becoming weak. That is what is happening, and that is why we see religious conflicts, ethnic conflicts in different parts of Oromia. Thank you for watching.